Hey YouTube, welcome back. In today's video, I am going to be prepping wool and spinning it into yarn. I'm going to be using raw sheep fleece, and I will discuss a little bit about using Angora fiber and alpaca fiber. I am in no means an expert. I'm at a very beginner level. This is just a video about my process. This is not a how-to. This is just me explaining how I've been learning as I've gone along in the process of preparing wool and spinning it into yarn, as well as we will be keeping an eye on our pigs that keep escaping because they've discovered that the fence is down and grounded out now because everything has refrozen and I wasn't able to pull it out. So there might be a few trips outside to go lure the pig back into her pig pen, and there will be lots about fiber prep and chit chat about fiber and using it and what I've learned about using it. This is my collection of sheep fleeces. I bought a handful of them off of a local lady. She doesn't live very far. And they were just unwashed, sheared right off the sheep. I washed all of these in the summer and fall. However, that's only the first step to prepping wool. There's a lot more to it. So, as you can see, I have quite a few fleeces. The washing process took an extremely long time. Very time consuming. These are my alpaca fleeces, which I got from a friend. And I also have a bunch of Angora fiber from my own rabbits. Once a sheep fleece has been washed, which I wash it in warm water with a little bit of soap, and then I rinse it twice. I put it out on racks and I let it dry in the sun. That's how I did it. It probably could have been washed a little bit better, but given the time that I had, I did what I could. It was a really big process. It took me a really long time. It took a lot of water. And so, yeah, some of it may not be as washed as some other people would do it, but given my lack of experience and the time constraints that I was under because everything was starting to freeze outside, this is how I got it done. So once it's washed, it comes in clumps, comes out in clumps. And then I like to pull the locks out. This is a lock. Again, I'm not an expert and I'm still learning how to do this, so if I mess any of this up, no, it's because I have no idea what I'm doing for the most part. I'm still very much so learning. So this is a lock, and then this, you could technically just spin it right like this. However, there's some short bits in there, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick up on it, but there are bits of hay and stuff in there. I'm going to change the angle so you can see it. But there are bits of hay in there. So to get those bits of hay out and to fluff it up a little, I'm going to comb it. Now, I don't have actual wool combs. You'll see other videos, people have like these really cool wool combs. I don't have those. My husband tried making me a very rugged pair out of some nails and some scrap pieces that would be lying around. Does work. However, I found that the brush I use for grooming my Angoras works better. And as much as it's extremely time consuming, I do it per lock. So to comb it, again, I am going to show a different angle here. To comb it, you simply hold onto the lock and comb, and see all of the short fluffy stuff that comes out. That's not spinnable, that's not usable. I put this in a separate bag and I save it for either mulch, possibly felting. I don't know, I haven't gone down that road yet. Or apparently it's really good for seed starting. So I might try using some of like all of my extra bits of fiber that I can't use. Instead of using it to mulch the garden, I might try using it for some seed starting. All right. Now I am showing the preparation for sheep fleece today. Alpaca is very similar, although I have not washed this. I didn't really feel the need to. Some people say you're supposed to. I didn't, and I spun it up and it was fine. These are the alpaca locks. You can see that they are very different than sheep, but they have all little bits of hay and dust and dirt. So again, really good idea to comb them. Now, despite Angora rabbit wool being slightly trickier to spin than, say, the alpaca or sheep fleece, because I find this very easy to spin, I don't have to prep it at all. And I really, really like my Angora wool for that reason, because I don't have to comb it. I don't have to wash it. I could either spin it right off my rabbit, which I don't do because I am not nearly experienced enough yet. I'm scared I would like twist it up and pull their little hairs. But I shear, and literally right out of the bag, I am able to spin it. This is from one of my Angoras. Let's see if I can. It got really smushed in there. Some shorter pieces. I haven't skirted any of this yet. I haven't sorted through the good stuff and the not so good stuff. There. This is from our rabbit Rose. This is from the last time that I sheared her. Very fluffy, very fine, pretty much no hay in it, and ready to spin, just like that. So I obviously don't have to show about prepping this, and I'm showing about prepping the wool because I don't have to prep this. I'm also not going to show spinning it today. I will do that in probably a separate video, because spinning Angora is very, well, not very different, but it is different than spinning sheep from the experiences that I have had anyways. All right, let's change camera angles. We're going to talk about brushing. So, sheep fleece. Again, after it's been washed, comes in a big clump. Lots of bits of hay in it. You can go through and like hand pick that out. Sometimes I go through and I'll take the big stuff out. But usually it all comes out in the combing, so I don't bother too much. I don't know how much of that you're supposed to remove prior to washing. I tried pulling out some stuff as I was skirting the fleece, which is like pulling all of like the really gross bits off and the obviously short bits. I don't know how much of the hay and stuff I was supposed to pull out before I washed it. So there's a lot of hay in some of this. And the combing really does help to get that out. You don't really want it in your yarn because apparently it damages fibers, and then obviously you're going to have little bits of hay in your yarn, and that looks kind of weird. So this is a lock. This is also a lock. This is a semi-combed lock. And this is one that I've already combed, although because it's been on this paper with all of these dirty ones, there's stuff stuck in it. Now, I noticed that this fleece seems a little more brittle than the other ones, and there's a lot of breakage, as you can see. And so once I actually comb it down, I'm really not getting as much fiber as you would think. And it is a timely process, so I've learned that this is very much so a labor of love. I have about this much left to comb. Oh, there's some alpaca in here. That's not supposed to be in there. Oops. I have this much left to comb and prep, roughly, before I spin. And I'm actually making a skein of wool from each fleece that I have for the lady that I bought them from. One, I got them for a really good deal. At least I think I did. I don't really know the actual cost of raw sheep fleeces. I feel like I got a good deal on it. And she's a knitter, I believe. And so I told her that I would make her a skein from each fleece of her sheep, so for her to use. I honestly thought it would take me a lot less time for prepping. I was hoping they would all be done by now. I honestly thought I'd be like halfway through my fleece stash by now. No. It takes a very long time to comb it all out. And then the whole process of spinning, washing your wool or your yarn after it's been spun and all that, like it's a time-consuming process. Very much so a labor of love. So, I put these back. Yeah, see, there's nothing left. or basically nothing left. Sometimes I leave some in there. Eventually I get kind of bored and impatient, and maybe more gets left than other times. As you can see, in this box, this is my finished stuff. I have a lot. It's very fluffy. Does fluff it up a lot. I find it makes spinning a lot easier. It makes spinning a lot more consistent, and you're not getting like little bits and chunks of wool, so your yarn isn't breaking. This is all of the extras that I've just been pulling off. I actually have a lot more, but I keep that separate. I put that separate. And it's basically just a chain. So I put this piece of white paper down here, one, so that you can hopefully see these locks a little better. And two, you can see how much stuff comes out of them, because so much hay comes out of these sheep fleeces. Now, I have seen some a lot cleaner than others. I have a very dark fleece over there, and I actually spun it without washing it, without combing it, and it made a really beautiful yarn just spun like that. The lanolin was super thick on it. It made my hands like really nice and soft while I was spinning it. However, it is a little bit coarser. It's not as soft as if it had been combed and then carded. And there's little bits of hay stuck into it here and there. So I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for, because it isn't as soft and it is more scratchy. But with that extra lanolin on it, I feel like it'd be really good for like some sort of outerwear, like to wear over top of something, because it does have that natural waterproofing with the lanolin. Anyways, let's comb. This tip looks pretty brittle. I have a feeling most of it's going to break off. Just like brushing hair. Start at one end and work your way back. That way, oh, look, it didn't all break off. That's cool. This might be a really long lock. And work your way back. So again, there are actual wool combs. I don't have those, so I'm using this comb. I use this to groom my Angora rabbits. And essentially, this is just the entire process. You're opening up the lock, making it all fluffy, and getting all the bits of hay out. And then once I've gotten most of it out, I'll switch sides. Because at one point you just start combing the hay bits up from the bottom, so it's better I just switch sides. This is the bottom part of the lock. This is the cut part of the lock. I'm finding with this fleece and most fleeces, even sometimes with my Angora rabbits, there's just like little bits of like sheared hair. It's good to comb them out, but this one's pretty dense, and so you have to kind of put a little more force into it, but you can see it really fluffs them up because it was really dense. And then opening them up more. The more it opens up, the easier it is to release all the little vegetable matter, I believe they call it. Which is really, it's just bits of hay or bits of whatever the goats were laying in. A lot of the times they like spruce needles. They definitely seem to like laying under spruce. I found a lot of spruce in their coats. Okay, so that's pretty good. The other side, make sure, get the center. There. And it's combed. See? And that's it. Now I could spin it just like that, and it's called a worsted yarn, I believe. However, I'm going to card it first, which I will show you, and then I will spin it. So that's just one lock, and it took however long, you know, a minute or two, maybe 3. I have to check back on watch the video back to see how long it was for combing it. Yeah, the lock, you can see it's quite strong. It comes apart. That would be like pre-drafting. I'm going to put that in the box with all the other ones. Now you can see there's this tuft on the comb. Some of it is actually longer stuff. Most of it's shorter, but some of it's longer. So what I like to do is I like to grab that tip And I basically like draft it out. Try and see if there's any long stuff. That's all gonna be too short. This should be all right though. Some people would consider this to be too short to spin. However, it's about 3 inches, maybe a little over 3 inches long. I will spin that. Angora fiber is, I will spin from 2 inches plus. So this can spin. It's not as slippery. It's easy to spin. So I keep the shorter beds. Some people may not agree with that, but I do. If I'm going to put the effort into this, I'm keeping every little bit that I can. Next, I take off my comb. As you can see, it's very short. Little bits. There's lots of other stuff in there. This will probably be used for mulch or seed starting. Put it in my discard bag. And as you can see, all of the bits of hay that came out of that. And repeat a lot for the rest of the fiber that's in that box that I showed you not all that long ago. Usually I like to do this at night. I will sit with my husband and we will watch our TV show or a movie or something, and I will sit there and I will comb as we watch. I like to keep my hands busy, and it also gives me a little more entertainment than just sitting and combing. Listening to a podcast works too, or watching YouTube videos is great. So you just keep combing. Obviously, the less fiber you have in the hand, the quicker it is to comb it out. There. Move it over. Going to find the lock. For some reason, I always try and sort through it like as if I'm not going to have to use all of it. I don't know why I just grab a clump. There. Handful. I like to try and match up the ends as best as I can before I start. Alright. Forgot about that. That's too short. Okay. So again, starting at the tip. And work your way back. Just opening up all the fibers, allowing all the stuff to fall out. And removing any really short fibers. It also helps to remove little neps. I think they're called neps. It's like little balls of fiber stuck in there. I don't know. I think they're called neps. Helps take those out. While you're spinning, if you have little neps, they tend to make little bumps in your yarn, which isn't like, I don't know, it's not detrimental by any means. But if you want a really consistent yarn, then you don't really, ooh, see, I took a big chunk of fiber there. I'll add that back in, because that was some long fiber. Definitely takes some hand strength. It's taken me a bit to work up to being able to do this for longer than 20-30 minutes. Ooh, that's a big knot in there. It is easier to work with smaller pieces. I recommend starting with small and then working your way up to slightly larger handfuls. There we go. The cut part is always a bit harder to get through because of all of the short fibers that get stuck. As you can see, it keeps breaking over here. Not all of them, but I noticed this fleece in particular was a little more like dry and brittle. I think a handful of them were older from like previous year's shearing. She did tell me about that when she sold them to me. But I was like, it should be all right. But I do find them a little dry and a little bit brittle, which is why I haven't been putting this one through my wool picker, which my husband built me, and I will show you when I am done combing some fiber. Or maybe I'll show you in a different video when I'm working on a different project that actually involves using my wool picker. Okay. Looks like majority, if not all, of the vegetable matter is out, so that should be good. Add her to the box. I'm going to draft off some of these longer fibers. Make sure they're long enough. Definitely long enough. I use my finger to measure. I think my finger's like 3 inches long. Or something like that. I measured it the one day. That's how I measure the rabbit's fiber for when I need to shear them. But yeah. So, you do that process over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then eventually you get a box of fluffy stuff, which will then get turned into a ball of yarn. You will be amazed at how much, or how little, I should say, yarn this amount of fiber would make. Anyways, we aren't going to sit through combing all of that fiber, because then this would be an extremely long video, but we are going to go to the next step of carding this wool. So it has now been combed, and I am going to card it, which I actually use my blending board to do. Bits of hay. Try not to dust it over top of the other ones. I use my blending board. I have some carding brushes that can do the same trick, but I find like my blending board does the same thing, and I can do it in like larger quantities, if you will. So let's get the blending board out. Blending board is over here. As you can see, our house is filling up, which is why we are excited to build our new home and have a slightly larger space. And this current living space will probably be turned into my workspace, and most of the hobbies, or my hobbies, and all the things that go along with them will stay in here and not be cluttering our house over there. Some rabbit pelts from our meat rabbits that I need to finish stretching and oiling, although I'll have to rehydrate them first. Blending board. Oh, and I'll show you guys this. I made this. This took me so many hours to make. It is made from pure Angora wool that I hand spun with my drop spindle, which is what I learned to spin on. It took me hours, like so many hours to make. I made it for my mom. I still need to mail it to her. It's very warm, very fuzzy. One of the pigs is out. I can see her cruising around in the woods, so let's go get her back into the pig enclosure for the 6th time today, I think. Pig, 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 come on! Come on, pig, pig, piggy! The small ones aren't getting out. It's only the big one that keeps getting out. She's about to come. Here she comes. Come on, girl! Pig, 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 piggy! Here she comes. Come on! Yes, you're excited! Don't slip! Don't slip! You want some? Okay, come on. Okay, y'all gotta stop. Come on. Oh, goodness, you're gonna knock me over. Oh, good. There, she came in. Perfect. There we go. What I've been doing takes them a little bit longer if I spread it out on the ground. And then eventually they'll go take a nap under a bunch of their hay, which they're gonna get some more today because it's starting to get real cold out.
Yes, you need to stay in here. Stop escaping. Hmm? How did you get out of probably the same spot as usual? Right here. Alright, walk back up to the house. Last year, it was the goats who kept escaping. But we learned. This year it's the pigs. And we're learning again.
This is my blending board. And I'm going to show you how to use it. Or at least how I use it. Or how I know how to use it. I don't know what the technical term is of what this process does to the wool. But essentially, from what I've noticed, is it makes it fluffier, softer, and just that slightly bit easier to spin. All you gotta do is put the fiber on the board. Now, some people use hand carders, so they're like these, but bigger, and you do it by hand. I'm just gonna do it on one big board. Other people have big drum carders. Pretty sure they go for a pretty penny, so, and I don't really have space for that. So this worked for me, as well as I wanted to use it for blending fibers. I want to try blending the sheep with the Angora at various percentages. I did one wool where I blended them, but I don't think I blended it enough. I think I should have put it on here and taken it off and then put it back on another 2, maybe 3 times to really blend the fibers, because they weren't as blended as I would have liked them to be. And I did that with some alpaca and some sheep fleece. But again, I don't know if I blended them enough. It worked, it made yarn, but I feel like I could have made it more consistent, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't change anything. I feel like it would, though. So, fill up the board. Good enough. And then you take your brush. It's an awful sound. And you surprisingly do have to put some muscle into it. There. Then we'll layer it again. We're going to do that a couple of times. And then we will take it off. And that will make the yarn, it will make the wool carded. Makes it fluffier. I think it's I think that what they call it is a woolen wool. Instead of worsted, it's woolen, I think. Could be wrong. Look that one up, don't quote me there. Now, if I was to use other fibers, at this point, this is where I would put them in. You would just, I think, I'm not sure how I've done it, is I do a really thin layer of one fiber and a really thin layer of the next fiber, or I think you can just put them, put a couple pieces of wool and a couple pieces of whatever, and you do that process. But we're just working with the one type of fiber today. Because like I said, I want some pure skeins of yarn from each fleece for the lady that I bought them from. She was super, super nice. I'd like to give them back to her. She doesn't live all that far from me, so it's not a big deal. Time consuming, but that's okay.
there's a couple ways you can take it off. You can use the sticks and roll it off. Oops. But I don't like spinning from, I think it's called a rolag. Rolog? I don't know. Rolag. I don't like spinning from them as much as I like spinning from like a nest, I think it's called. So I made, hopefully you can see that. Can you see that? Yeah. I made I think it's called a diz out of some polymer clay while I was crafting with the kids. It's my first time using it, so we're gonna see if this works. I used something else the other day and it worked all right. So let's diz it off. I think that's what it's called. Spin it so you can get it through. That's basically what the yarn will look like. I'm gonna use the bigger hole so I can push this through. I don't have any small crochet hooks with me. There we go. Okay. Basically, you draft it off. As you can see, I'm a little bit fumbling with my hands. I still haven't quite figured out the best technique for this. But you can see we're getting a pretty long piece. I don't know what I'm gonna pull off. There's some pieces in there. You need a little insensitive when you do it. Ooh, there we go. Insensitive. That works pretty good. I think that's a little bit back in there. That's okay. Ooh. Okay, that broke off. All right. So then I'm gonna curve it up into a little nest. It's basically like it's pre-drafted almost, and so it makes drafting a lot easier. There's a little nest. A little puff of fiber. Ready for spinning. So I'm gonna do that a few more times with all of that fiber. It's gonna make a couple of these nests, or these little balls of fluff, and then we're gonna spin them. So let's pull this off from here. Piggy's out again. Let's go put her back. Chichi cat. Oh, Chichar. She knows the drill. I think she escapes on purpose. No, keep going. She escapes on purpose for treats. Look at that little tail. Hey! You got out too. No. Come on. Hey, don't knock me over while we're at it, okay? And sorry about the camera. Doing this one-handed. Come on, girls. Everybody in. Spread it around a little. Sorry, put my boots in your food. Oh, I ran out of memory there for a minute. Had to freeze them up. Okay, sorry, piggers. I don't really like putting my boots in your food, but I need to spread it around. Buy me some time before I gotta come back out and do this all over again. There. That's nice. I might just try to spin right from that. It's like a big pillow. Probably could. I don't see why not. Okay, I'm gonna roll that up. Just like so.
I'm going to spin right from this. Let's go to the spinning wheel, because that's what we're going to use today. This is my spinning wheel, Phyllis. She is a Canadian production wheel made by Phileas Carteret in Hyacinth, Quebec back in the early 1920s. So my wheel is around 100 years old. I bought her in PEI this summer, actually. I originally learned how to spin using a drop spindle, which I can show you if you want. But I originally learned how to spin using a drop spindle, and then I upgraded to this. Now, the person who sold it to me said it was somewhat functioning, but not completely functioning, and that is because these spindles here in this piece are slightly loose. So I actually, with the help of my husband, we actually took this whole wheel apart. These pieces all come out, and the wheel comes apart. And we took the wheel out, we took all the spindles out and this part out, we cleaned everything and re-glued it. So it is more solid, however it does move around slightly. This is the treadle on the wheel, fully operational. And then over here is the bobbin, the flyer, I think that's what it's called, and the area to adjust the tension on I do not know what this thread is called, on whatever this thread is called. So you do this, not a lot of tension obviously, more tension, and you tighten it. Bobbin comes out by turning that and threading it. I'll have to thread this through here to get it started for spinning. Heck no. But yeah, so that's my wheel. I'm sitting a little too far away. I'm gonna have to get my other chair. But yeah, so that's the wheel I'm going to be using to spin with today. Oh yeah, I can't spin from this far back. There we go. Alright, let's get spinning. This is called drafting, and as you can see, I'm not the most consistent at it yet, and learning how to treadle really slowly with this wheel has been quite the challenge. But I've noticed if I draft really far away from the eye up here, I tend not to over twist my yarn too much or at all. Now, to tell if it's over twisted or not, ply back test. It's a little bit extra twisty, but really not too bad. I can't feel a whole lot of tension on it, and if I look up it, we're not coiling a bunch everywhere else, so should be okay. The trick is to try and treadle slowly. The big wheel spins once, and when it spins once, it spins everything over here. I think when I researched it, it said about 24 times. So for every one treadle of the wheel, I'm spinning that thing like 24 times. So it adds a lot of twist really quickly. It almost pre-drafts itself if I hold really lightly with my right hand. Yeah, that's my right hand. Oh, I better move over or else we're going to be all uneven on the bobbin. This came off again too. My tension's pretty good. Wow, that's way looser than I thought it was. I thought it needed to be way tighter. It needs to be so much tighter for the Angora fiber compared to the sheep fiber. Hopefully I've been able to keep most of this in the shot. But if I you can see little bits of hay falling out. Which is why I tend to wear, like, dirtier clothes, work clothes if you will, when I spin and work with wool, because I get little bits of hay and fluff and whatever all over me, so. Yeah, I find the trick, if you keep the hand that's holding, oh, almost lost her there. If you keep the hand that's holding the fluff really, really loose, it almost drafts itself. Look, there's that. There's some good tension. Alright, almost done this fluff. This is the last of the little nests. And then I'm on to trying to do that last bat. I might fill this entire bobbin. Might. It's amazing how much it all condenses down once you spin it. You think you're gonna get so much yarn, but really you don't get a whole lot. So if you have a local yarn store and they ever have handmade yarns or local yarns and you think they're expensive, this is why. There's so much prep and so much time that goes into it. So if you have a friend who's a spinner and they've spun you yarn before, now you know. Tension's a little bit high. You don't want too much twist in your yarn or else it doesn't ply very nicely. Yeah, see, there's a bunch down there, but it should be alright. A lot of it comes out when you ply it. Alright, now we're going to go on to spinning that bat. And then that's what it looks like on the bobbin. That is a single ply yarn, my friends. And I can ply it back on itself to make a 2-ply yarn or do 3-ply yarn, which would just make it thicker and thicker, and that just adds more strands. So basically you just draft the threads together and you spin it the opposite way, and then you have like a thicker yarn. This is from the last bobbin that I did, so I am hoping to fill this bobbin with the rest of this fiber, ply it back, and then that will be one skein of yarn completed. Well, 2. And then I think I have a couple more to go. She's out again. Oh, look, she just walked right over that. Yeah, he didn't bring any grain with him though. Not sure why. Oh, he's gonna try and mess with the battery and see if he can get the fence working. It was working earlier. It zapped him really good. Oh, the piggy's biting his bum. There, he's wondering where the third pig went.
not too sure where she went. Might have to go yell for her. Having discussions with the pigs. He's trying to hook up a different battery to see if that will work, because the fence zapped him really good earlier when the sun kind of came out for a second. So maybe it's just the battery's completely dead or something. And it's not that the fence is grounded out. And if we can give him a couple good zaps from a good battery, they should start to back off the fence for a little while anyways. Hopefully, at least long enough to get them to the butcher so that they stop escaping. This pig is hilarious. What is she doing? Oh, there she goes. Check some stuff out. Bye, piggy. He got them all back in. Yay!
Thank you for joining me today. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, like it, comment any questions, or correct me about any of the mistakes that I made while explaining what I'm doing, and share it to somebody who you think would like it. Have a good day.